Marvin, what do you make of all this?
Man, I don't even have an opinion.
Well, you gotta have an opinion.
It's very exciting stuff. I think we're pretty much ready to go here with this podcast.
The hell is a podcast? I mean, why don't you just tape it? What are you doing?
You don't have to tape it these days, Frank. We just record it right on the computer.
And once we start recording, Frank, you need to stop eating those crackers. It's incredibly annoying, and it's all anyone's going to be able to hear.
Dear Michigan, this is Roger Castillo talking here. Stop snowing. Stop. Mother Nature, please.
You're taunting. What are you doing? No.
Yeah, don't make it worse.
Roger, you just made sure that all of our cars are just going to be frozen shut when we get out of here today.
My gas tank was frozen shut last time I went to get gas.
Yeah. Mine was this morning, too.
Yeah.
Can you not put in those added, or you mean the actual gas tank to like fill
No,
up my gas?
yeah, the actual
Okay.
lid. The lid.
Yeah.
Not the
gas
line. If I have a 2015 car and I have a frozen gas line, something's going on.
Hey, you never
So,
know.
No, you're right.
America.
Jamie, meanwhile, somewhere near the Tri-City area, located in a northern town in a northern city, by her 4x4 Escape, Jamie sits in total and absolute comfort.
Yes, I do.
Hey, no one
She's
asked
sipping,
you.
and she just posted about having the perfect cup of coffee. So you smug person, you.
I'm having an ice cap. I don't care about the cold.
You're
Do
brave.
you realize
You're
how
brave.
often I get that crap and you guys don't have it? It's so nice to know that you lower Michigan people are finally experiencing what our winters are always like.
Well, I lived on the west side a couple years.
What side?
Look, Grand Rapids gets pretty bad. I love seeing when school gets canceled for this stuff.
We were talking about loving. I was going to say we were talking about loving days off, and we get boo.
No. I used to live in West Michigan. I used to live at Comstock Park. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like that. Yeah, the lake effect is terrible.
Yeah, there'd be a foot of snow, and you don't expect a single business or school or anything to be closed. It's just, no, that's everyday weather.
That's
more
normal.
or less.
And that's how we're opening.
It's time for the Ramble.
Still have this song going.
Yeah, I just realized I had to cut that short within seconds because it drives Eric nuts. But outside of
I've heard that song back in high school. That's how long ago that is.
really, that's how old it is.
It's
Wow.
at
Oh,
least,
it's older than that.
I was going to say it's at
that's
least
way
10
older
years
than
old.
that.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
bad.
an old man.
Well,
So-
say, but your high school is not our high school.
Listen,
Yeah.
we're not that far apart here. Let's be realistic.
All right, so still Apocalypse 2018. My subdivision, too. It took forever to get out of my subdivision because it's not been touched. But I did get a snow machine, or snow blower.
So he just wanted to make it worse.
What'd you say, Jamie?
There's quite a difference between a snow machine and a snowblower.
Yes.
Correct.
Roger would be that petty neighbor. Just he's got a neighbor he doesn't like. He sets the snow machine up overnight. You know.
You know what? Yesterday with a snowblower, I actually did that. Like, the guy's house next to me, the guy's a dick. And
Sounds like my neighbor.
no, like this is a guy who I don't know. No, you guys weren't around when I think I told Probe this story, where he had a pool in his backyard that was sitting with water. He never drained it, and there was dead animals floating around in it. And
Woof.
if we knew that if the water was getting to the point where if it goes over, it go right into the garage, my garage. So we had to we had to call the city a couple times, and finally they came out and they were like, "You got to tear this down." I know he knew that, and also he also had a let's just say he liked plants a lot. Let's just say that, and DT also said something to him like, "Hey, we noticed that you have some sort of growth downstairs, and your electric bill seems a little high for your house your size." So he thought I ratted him out for that, and I didn't know about it till
It's always for a 12-hour period.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Way to narc on your neighbor, Roger.
I don't narc, man. I just don't like the dude. And the guy next door, the guy to my left, is an older gentleman. We plow his lot and everything. And the guy's 84, and we'll do that. And yesterday he offered me $20, and I couldn't take it. He's like, "Take it." I'm like, "All right." I'm like, so
when an old man
Don't
barks
make
at you
me
like that, you do what he says.
Don't make me tell you
But you know what
twice.
sucks? On my street, there's two people who always park at the corner. You know what I mean? So on a regular basis, it's kind of if you're not paying attention, you can possibly hit one of these two cars at the corner. Like, who parks at the corner anyways? But it's a winter storm, and they're still parked right there. And you already know at the beginning of your street, there's always that snow pushover where
the zigzag effect too.
Like, you have to get a running start. You got to get a running start, and you're playing operation with cars at the beginning of my street. And I was like, man, you guys are just idiots. I hope somebody smashes your car.
Hey, but
and
listen,
you have your own insurance.
It's not official until you hear that horn in the sky.
That was going off every hour in my neighborhood. I feel like it was like I was like, okay, I get it. We have a snow emergency. Thank you for reminding me.
I didn't hear an alarm.
It's the whole city.
I heard one today literally as I was leaving the house. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm good.
I didn't hear none of that.
I'm just happy I rent, man. I wake up and my walkway shoveled, my parking lot shoveled. I don't have to worry about anything, you know?
That is one of the perks to running, honestly.
It is.
You don't have to do any of you never have to do any of that stuff on your own anymore.
I don't know.
It wasn't an issue though. Like, so my anxiety was on a 10 at the end of the night because I was working since 4:30 in the morning, driving it at nonstop. So I was like, man, I'm over this. But it's a huge difference driving a big truck and then getting in my car and driving.
Right.
I was like,
exactly.
oh, this ain't cool.
I'm now more convinced than ever. I'm going to get a truck. I'm going to get a 4-wheel drive car.
But you still have to drive smart. I counted. This is funny. Through the whole day, I counted 38 people in the ditch, and every single one of them were still in the car. Everybody was still in the car.
How many of them were trucks? I feel like that's a better thing to pay attention to.
There was a lot of trucks, but there was a lot of cars as well, though.
It sounds like hell on earth.
Well, you know,
A truck or an SUV, because a truck, even with 4-wheel drive, unless you put weight in the back, is not going to help you.
when you own a truck, I've been told this, and this is from my own experience, it creates almost an obligation because a year or two ago, or no, it was a little longer than that. When I was coming home from college one year, a guy drove by. I spun out onto the side of the road. There was like 6-8 inches of snow on the ground. I was trying to come home from the west side. Well, yeah, I spun out, and I'm stuck on the side of the road, and there's way too much snow for me to get out. And just this truck drove by, and he stops, and without saying a word to me, he doesn't even say hi, he's already reaching into the back of his truck, and he's got chains in the back. And I'm just like, oh, hey, what's up, man? He's like, oh, hey, how you doing, man? And as he's talking to me, he's putting his hooks, on my car and everything. And I'm like, oh, you're here to help me out? And he's like, oh, yeah. He said it as though, like, well, duh, like, why else would I be doing this? And he pulls it out, gets in his car, pulls it out, and then he gets out and unhooks it. I'm like, dude, like, can I know your name? Why are you doing this? Like, who are you? He's like, dude, I own a truck. I saw somebody on the side of the road. I knew I got chains. Like, I'm not going to go home knowing that I could have helped you, and I didn't. And he didn't ask me for a thing. I never found his name out, even though I asked it several times. And he's just like, later, he didn't even want to talk. He's just like, I'm going to get this over with, and I'm going to go home.
I can tell you what his name is.
What's that?
Pete.
Jesus. Jesus came and saved you.
Well, Jesus wears a camouflage hat and doesn't like pleasantries, apparently.
Well, you know what?
Obviously, when he's in Michigan, he wears a camouflage hat. He has to blend it.
I feel like people who do that can probably just be shitty people the entire year, and then as soon as it starts snowing, just help people out the ditch, and it's all forgiven.
Well,
that's his way of trying to get on Santa's good list.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, winters, you guys believe in karma?
I do.
Seriously. Because what I do sometimes in the winter, I don't know, there are some days, maybe I'm a little superstitious, but there's some days I'm like, the roads look bad. I don't feel good about this. What I will do is while I'm swiping my car off and it's early in the morning or something, I'll wipe like one or two other cars down. And I'll wipe it off for them. And I'm like, I did this little good. Maybe I'll make it to work today.
Well, that's exactly what I mean, I do George's thing only because he's an older gentleman, but he's always nice to us. He's always like, his daughter lives down the street. She's an older lady. They're always nice to us. And he always says, like, you're better than the guy who used to live there before. He's like, you're way better than that guy. And I know he's like one of my best friends. So it's ironic enough. He's like,
well, there's that.
He goes, when you got married, you got lazy. He goes, asshole. And that's it. I'm like, wow, George. Yeah, I didn't know he felt that way. So no, but you do. It's sometimes, Mike, for people like it's just like doing that.
Herbert.
Good Samaritan thing, and I mean, for me, I did that same trip from
Peter right there.
190. Get the hell out of here! Doing that trip from 196 to 96. Literally, I mean, it took me 7 hours to get home one day because it was a snowstorm so bad. And I had a Cavalier. And Cavalier, it was the whole entire time.
Oh, no.
It was like the entire time, like fishtail, 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 fishtail.
As soon as LeBron comes in the room, you got to bring up Cavalier.
I love being called LeBron. Keep it going.
Mike, Probe, you're giving him a complex.
Brian,
you pretty much just called me the GOAT, Mike.
Or that you suck.
I need you to do me a favor, Brian. You don't have to listen to the Pistons SRD this week. Just listen to like the last 10 seconds of it, all right? I left you a little Easter egg for you.
I appreciate that. I'm going to listen anyway because you're the best, Mike Pat.
There you go.
Appreciate that, buddy.
So, no, but I driving this Cavalier home. It took me. I had to stop at the rest stop to sleep a couple times because it was so bad, and I didn't get home. Yeah, I left at my house at 8 o'clock at night, and didn't get home until like 4:30 in the morning. And my mom was sick at the time, and she's just randomly sitting on the porch at 3 a.m. in the winter. Like it was like 4:30 in the morning. She's sitting there drinking a Mountain Dew. It was it was one of the strangest nights ever in my life. But she was
unsettling.
Yeah, well, she was in chemo, and Mountain Dew was the only thing that gave she could taste anything. Mountain Dew was the only thing that came through. So, yeah, she was
go Mountain Dew. I
yeah,
guess.
my mom never smoked, and there she was smoking a cigarette, drinking Mountain Dew, and I'm looking at her, and she's like, and without bad eye, she goes, "You're home late," and I told her what happened, and she goes,
"That's such a mom."
Yeah, and then I'm like, she's like, I'm not worried about it. And usually, like before, like my mom during chemo is just no F's given. So, but yeah,
cool.
that is But outside of the weather, this week there's been just overall. We'll get to the Matt Patricia stuff. That'll be in the 10 o'clock hour or the second hour, excuse me, for podcast listeners. We'll get to the Matt Patricia stuff. I do want to discuss a little bit about the Pistons last night. Tough loss against the Clippers, but Lou Williams cannot miss. Lou Williams, if the Clippers could have got a haul for Lou Williams, I think.
They could have.
But he's a good guy to have on the team and for cheap.
And yeah,
that's pretty cheap.
They signed him.
You got a 3-year extension.
8 years.
How much was it worth?
$8 million a year.
Yeah,
See, that's ridiculous.
It's a guy that doesn't realize how much he's worth. Honestly,
but he wants to stay at one place. He got
Yeah.
a 3-year deal. It's in L.A. It's 3 years. You know what I mean? He's been in the league 13 years. You know what I mean? So.
And he's still
he's got money. So I mean, clearly he didn't have to take it.
He's still getting better at basketball. Though.
Yeah.
Like it's unbelievable. Every season, Lou Williams is getting better, and he's what 32 now.
Yeah, along those lines.
Yeah, and then
Has he signed a contract with the devil? We all know that.
Well, I mean, damn, sign me up.
Yeah.
This dude.
Right?
Hey, the guy wanted to be loyal.
Well. Is loyalty the devil? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm saying that he keeps
she's saying
getting
the
better
team.
instead of getting worse.
Yeah.
Lou Williams is playing the best basketball of his life, and he's only with the contracts these guys are getting now. You're telling me that Lou Williams is playing the best basketball of his life, and he's only getting $8 million per year.
Whoa.
And Marvin Williams is over there.
We'll get to that.
Charlotte making $13 million. Come on.
Yeah, we'll get to that. There's plenty to get to the horse.
But he signed. It's not like they had a gun to his head. He must have liked the deal or not, regardless of what you think right now. He didn't have to because he could have went to the free agency after the summer and got paid. But he chose to take that $8. Why not?
Well,
if he's happy, I'm happy.
Well, we got plenty to get to the NBA. There's be a lot of heavy NBA talk because the
Yeah.
trade deadline literally blew up our Twitter messenger to the point where
Look,
it was
People throwing out fleeces. And
yeah,
stuff.
fleeces, yeah. And I sat back and just read the whole thing, and then Ben was saying like something along the lines of, "What's it saying? I don't get it." And I'm just like, by the way, no Ben today. Ben is at his nephew's birthday party, so
I
Hi, Ben.
hyperventilated most of that day. I was simultaneously panicking and like partying. That was such a fun day.
that was baseball needs to catch up, yo.
Yeah.
I love trade.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Can you guys seriously remember in any sport a more fun NBA trade deadline? It just
Woj bombs.
Who's it fun for?
sandbag
The
bombs.
Cavs?
No,
it's just everyone.
Lakers.
Lakers.
I mean, but last year's trade deadline was weak. You know what I mean, it just makes it good. Not every year for the trade deadline.
No.
It's like this, but this year was like a bonanza.
More often than not, though, the NBA trade deadline is more not disappointing. It's the
Facts.
Yeah, Rasheed Wallace, as when he became a Piston, which blew my mind. There's a couple trade deadline trades that are just memorable. But like I said, we'll get to all that.
Well, I mean, there's a couple things that I know I don't think are coming up at Horse. What did you guys think about DeAndre Jordan not getting Whoa. Not getting moved, excuse me.
I was surprised he wasn't moved. I mean, there was talk about him going to Toronto, which Mike and I literally were like, please let that happen, because the thing about the East right now, even with LeBron, it's going to take a while before that team gels, because as you well know, Hood and Hill are going to be valuable parts of the same token. There's this, I saw somebody post about him going to possibly Philadelphia because they're built around LeBron. I laughed. I'm like, okay, Philly. I know you guys just won a Super Bowl.
No,
and all
they
that,
can
so-
dream.
But
Let them.
Philly does have like a nice chance. They have the talent and they got the cap room. So
On a scale of 1 to 10, what's the likelihood LeBron's going to Philly? In all honesty,
They just won a championship, so you can piggy off that.
Mike's they're going to L.A. though, Mike, right?
They are going to LA.
Like Mike's just looking at you guys like he's already going somewhere
Yeah,
else.
no,
I
he
don't
is.
get it.
But when it comes down to it, Philly will get an interview. Like I guarantee it.
Yeah, they'll get a-
because they have the full
Over the phone.
squad.
I don't know about that. Well, because LeBron did his whole. This is how that whole story out of nothing came up of LeBron going to the Warriors. He rattled off a couple of his favorite organizations in the league. Philly wasn't one of them. I feel like he wouldn't have explicitly stated that list if it wasn't like a preliminary list. He included the Spurs, the Warriors, Houston Rockets, and
the Heat were
the Heat was the interesting one.
But here's the thing. Even after Pat Riley and him kind of quote-unquote burn bridges, what have you, what's interesting about his list, too, is that they're all teams that literally will probably just do anything they can to get him on their squad.
And they're teams that would be instant finals contenders as soon as he joined them. It'd be interesting to see him pack on Miami.
I don't think he'd be good in Houston, though. I think Houston, the way they have it right now with James Harden,
James Harden.
He has to be the
I
main
agree with
guy.
you.
Yeah, James Harden has to be the centerpiece of that. He's earned that right, and LeBron, I don't think wants it. Like,
it'd be disrespectful to James Harden, I think.
yeah,
I
exactly.
agree.
That's James Harden's team. He has literally carried the team, and analytically speaking, too, I think it'd be a terrible idea for LeBron to go there. San Antonio would make sense in some capacity, but it also
Would you have to trade Kawhi though?
No,
no.
Why would you?
Yeah, no.
Because I know Kawhi's talking about he wants out.
Well,
why does Kawhi want out of San Antonio?
Kawhi has been stating a couple different reasons. He's not obviously right now with the whole minutes restriction after coming back from his injury. He's not happy about that because it's 1 minute he's playing like 10 minutes or about 20 minutes a game. Then they sit him out the next game. So he feels like he's not getting back into his rhythm. And then on top of that too, the other reason is saying that there's a lack of superstars coming to the San Antonio.
Oh, you actually heard him talk?
Yeah, nobody's going there, and like the team's old. Parker's done, Ginobili's done, Gasol's done. They got Aldridge, and then they got the good point guard that just
Patty Mills.
No.
I was gonna say that's the only guy I can think of.
Patty Mills is awesome. Don't you shit?
No,
talk
I'm not
Patty
saying in a
Mills.
bad way.
Okay.
I'm saying that's the only name I can think of as far
they
as the point
benched
guard.
Parker for their future point guard. I forget his name. He was bombing the playoffs last year.
I'm surprised though the whole superstar thing. Look, San Antonio's won without that. I mean, they made their own superstars, so I don't understand his logic with that comment, considering that San Antonio has been one of the most successful franchises in the last 25 years, dating back to the David Robinson period.
DeJounte Murray, not to cut you off.
Yeah,
thank you.
Bryn Forbes has been playing a lot of minutes for San Antonio.
Yeah, so
year.
But Philly fans, by the way, let's. I mean, we're gonna get the Super Bowl talk, but I mean, some of the Philly fan stuff is outstanding. In just terms of what there's a Philly fan who got naked, she got butt naked in the middle of the square. A Philly fan who ate horse manure. Apparently, that was a thing. By the way, congratulations to Bud Light, who somehow, some way, they were giving out free beer for anybody who was over 21. Every person that was throwing out a beer, look that up. Every person that was throwing around a beer, Jamie knows what I'm talking about. Every person that was throwing out a beer was a Bud Light. They are marketing geniuses for what they did in Philly. They were like, "Oh, you guys like crappy things because you eat crappy horse manure, and you guys don't really have a beer to call your own. Bring in the Bud Light Night." By the way, Dilly Dally is the stupidest effing marketing ploy out there. I'm sorry, dumb. You guys like the Dilly Dally, whatever that is?
Dilly?
Dilly
Dilly.
I love it.
Dilly.
Oh God,
I hate it.
You're a hater.
I'm a cynical jerk off sometimes.
That's I don't like it. Remember how I was talking about right before the show started? I was like, I don't really like where advertising is right now. It's because of stuff like that.
Thank you.
It's annoying.
I don't get it. I don't get the whole deal.
You know what it is? It's just something easy that people will remember, and it'll get stuck in their heads, and that's how you remember their product. It's genius, and I hate it.
It makes you sound like a 2-year-old. Dilly.
Well,
Or when you do it like that, it makes you sound like if you heard that at the end of an alleyway, Dilly. Oh no! Run!
The Bud Light night is coming.
Yeah, but that's just you Mike. Why do you like why do you like that dilly so much?
Because it's funny. He's like, make me a what did he say to the wizard? He said he was trying to make the wizard turn into something, and then he's like, no, I was just kidding. Make me give me a case of beer.
He wanted the throne to be a case of beer, but he screwed up and said himself. So he's like, no, I'm just kidding. Just the chair.
Or the guy who escaped and got some beer and then came back in the dungeon. Like it's just creative, you know.
Yeah, I just personally, I missed the three frogs. That was Budweiser.
So here's the thing I think about Budweiser in general is that they have great
It's gross.
marketing ideas, but then they just overplay them. Like the Dilly Dilly was great at first, but now it's getting a little played out, and the Budweiser frogs were totally played out before they ended them.
Yeah, the way they ended them too with the water going and they got electrified or something like that.
Hey, how often do you tell people to get off your grass?
How many times has people got off my grass?
I'm afraid to know where this is
You know
going.
what? Look, bro, you can call me an old man. You can call me what you will, but I will stick by the fact that I'm not going to endorse a crappy product it's a crappy product. Do you drink Bud Light? Anybody in here drink Bud Light?
Absolutely not.
I will.
I do.
I go to concerts and festivals. Like, you go for cheap most of the time.
Anything after the third beer, you're not really going to taste anyways. That's right. It's only the first two that matter.
Dude, I would rather pay the extra money and get a good beer. That's the way maybe I'm a hipster about it. I don't care.
I will drink Bud Light if it's there, but I'm with you, Roger.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
gonna spend that extra.
I was going to say, what I like about IPAs, you can still taste them about that third beer. I used to be real against IPAs, but they've grown on me lately.
Good.
I got bad allergies, so now they make me sneeze.
I will drink a craft beer if I'm out somewhere that has craft beer, but if it's like between Bud Light or Miller Light, I'm going Bud Light.
Oh, I'm going Miller Light every single day. Miller Light is my cheap beer of choice. That PBR.
I'd rather go with water than those two, honestly, because it's the same thing. It's
just add a little flavor to it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's free beer. What would you being bougie for?
I'm being bougie
I don't
for
want a free beer.
I'm not going to drink Bud Light. It gives me a headache. It gives me a headache and heartburn.
I like PBR and Rolling Rock. So
yeah,
Rolling
Rock, dude.
Rolling Rock's like the cheap man Heineken, ain't it?
Yeah,
something
like that.
Rolling Rock's more expensive than Heineken.
Yeah,
Heineken's cheap.
Yeah.
What's the cheap man's Heineken?
I don't think there is one. I think it would just be
Heineken. Jamie, aren't you like more of a spirits drinker?
Well, yeah, I drink beer when I don't want to get drunk because I'll only drink about one. So I'm more of a wine and margarita kind of girl.
I mean, yeah, I prefer gin and tonics over everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm dude. Gin and tonics all day long.
I get told that I drink like an old man though all the time.
Yeah, me too, and I'm okay with that. I'll get off my lawn.
I'll stick with the craft beer. Even at a place where it's nothing but domestic beer at first, I will at least ask.
Certain craft beers, I got to start learn my lesson to not drink. I will start sneezing, but I'll take the Long Island sub.
That's right.
I like Long Island too.
I sub pineapple juice for sour mix because sour mix fucks my stomach up, and it's bomb.
You guys ever tried the Purple Rain? It's Long Island, just pretty much.
Yes, absolutely. I have in this bar called the Blue Leprechaun in Ann Arbor.
Yes, sir.
And it's the greatest drink I've ever had in my entire life. I'm not exaggerating at all. I had it for the first time at a friend of mine's birthday party, and I looked at the waitress with tears in my eyes. I was like, thank you. Thank you so much.
Was that Jesus too, just in the female form?
Maybe.
Oh, Purple Rain.
Is it bad to hit on Jesus? Is that frowned upon?
If you don't know it's Jesus, I think you're okay.
Praise be.
Next thing you know, you wake up in the morning.
Yeah,
yes,
or if you
hello there, my child.
You pray on your knees, Mike. There you go.
Look, before we get away from advertisements,
Sorry,
I want to bring this up before I forget. Do you guys remember that Penguin commercial where I think it was Bud Light, the doo-be-doo-be-doo?
Yeah, the
Penguin?
Bud Ice. Yeah, I remember Bud Ice. Yeah.
I have a friend that tells me that he was terrified of that penguin as a child and still is to this day. He's like a 28-year-old man, and if you play that commercial and you play the doobie-doobie-doo part, he will look up, white in the face, and just look around like
that penguin was creepy. And Bud Ice, by the way, Bud Ice of all the cheap beers was pretty good.
Yeah.
Bud Ice was.
I don't know.
Bud Ice was pretty good. Yeah, there was a couple. There was a couple of festivities, if you will, where it was on keg and it was pretty good. I'm like, what is this? And somebody was like, Bud Ice. I'm like, holy crap!
Don't drink Bud Ice while you're talking shit about Bud Light
because it tastes better than Bud Light. Fact. I don't. Maybe they put a little more hops in it. I don't know. Hops in it.
And Heineken costs way more than
Does it?
Rock.
I
way
thought
more.
Heineken was more expensive.
I mean, Heineken's gross, so I don't care.
When I was in
Heineken.
when I Cuba, when I graduated after high school, I went to Cuba with my dad, and you could get a case of Heineken, 24-pack of Heineken for $5 American, because American money goes so much further. But for like Cuban money, it was like almost $100, or something ridiculous. But Heineken, what sucked about it is that I had to wait almost a whole full day to get it even cold, because the refrigerator, unfortunately, the way, and I sound like a dick when I'm saying this, but just unfortunately things in Cuba are not what they are here. And the fridge was like from the 1950s, so it took a while before it got cold. So
I mean, like, you had to go get a giant block of ice for it, every morning and stuff.
Essentially, and that's not too far off from the truth.
I knew it wasn't true. Yeah, Rolling Rock is a cheap man's Heineken.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Wait,
I hate Heineken, though.
What about Killian's? Isn't that?
No, Killian's is
Heineken
red.
I like
ale.
Killian's Red.
Yeah,
I like Killian's red a lot.
You like Killian's, Jamie?
I don't think I've ever tried Killian's.
That was like the beer that my dad drank a lot growing up. So that was one of the first beers I had to try because my dad drank it.
Right.
Literally, I felt like the Ramble is well named because we're talking about drinking, and people tend to ramble when they drink. So
I don't even know how.
We got here from basketball. I didn't want to say anything, but since you brought it up, I was pretty proud of the way it turned out.
You know what? I am too. I'm quite frankly, I take pride in the fact that if we can do this if we've been able to do this every week, the Ramble ends up going down 3 different roads. It circles back to sports. So, but overall, we'll get the Super Bowl commercials too, because I don't care about the commercials too much. But there's a couple commercials that stood out to me that I want to discuss.
That E-Trade one.
The E-Trade one was good.
That was hilarious.
Giants one. I like
The
that.
Giants.
one.
Oh, the Giants was hilarious.
They just won the Super Bowl. Ugh, stupid Twitter headlines. Get the hell out of here.
Unpopular opinion, I was so sick of the Tide commercials by the end of the Super Bowl.
Me too. No, that's not unpopular opinion.
Most people loved it. I've been ostracized.
I was getting tricked. Like, wait, is this gonna be a Tide commercial? Because you forget that Unilever, which owns their big, huge, they own everything. Yeah, you're right, Jamie. They own everything. They're able to get away with
that was
So is this a
genius,
Tide
though.
No, that was genius. It was genius. It was absolutely
like.
How?
It's not the first time that's happened.
I am no more likely to buy Tide now than I was before the Super Bowl. I do not think it was genius at all.
Oh, if Tide wasn't expensive, I'd use Tide. I actually, not to bring up being cheap, but my last store yesterday was at a Dollar General, and they had 50% off their already clearance, and they had big boxes of Gain. So it's like $9 thing. That was on clearance for $5. And it was 50% off that. So they had every
$2.50.
$2.50. Every
$2.50.
Gain box they had, I bought it. I was like, give me them all.
Good God.
Yeah. No,
I saw a tweet during the Super Bowl that somebody was like, "Wait, is this Super Bowl whole Tide ad?"
Oh, God, some of those songs or some of those comments on Twitter are terrible. Well, you know what? By the way, for the record, before we go to break, I hate when a trade or a joke. Like, here's the thing, and this is a perfect segue in the horse. Why do people insist that when Twitter jokes are some of the Twitter jokes are bad, but the one that drives me nuts is, "Oh, look like Cleveland traded their entire city for the Cavaliers." Like, they make a joke and they keep adding on the same joke, and then they show memes of Cleveland trading something else. Stop. That's lame.
That's
Stop.
funny, though. That's funny, though.
Sickening.
No, that's sick. It's
Yeah,
not
you,
sickening. It's
Mike
because-
Pearl,
because
the
that's
LeBron
just-
hater
What's
himself.
they do that all the time with a million different things, like rap lyrics.
just Twitter sometimes gets on my nerves. Sometimes they just jump on this thing, and then people are like, "All right, I'm gonna top that one," even though it's the same joke. I just changed a few words around. You know, I don't know. Like, do you guys know what I'm talking about with these? Tony Paul made fun of it. Like, okay, enough with the Cleveland trade jokes, and I was like, good, Tony Paul.
That was great moves by them.
That was, and we'll get to that after the break. You're listening to the SRD Roadshow on CRBRadio.com and SportsRadioDetroit.com on the man. All right, it's time for the horse here on the SRD Roadshow here on CRBRadio.com live and SportsRadioDetroit.com on demand. And I chose the wrong menu music. It's the Sega Genesis version sucks.
I was still vibing.
All right.
I was like, we doing something new?
No. So we start with H. Pistons are 5-1 since making the Blake Griffin trade, and he's a big reason why. He's averaging seven rebounds, almost 6.5 assists, and 21 points per game since he came over. Has the recent performance changed your opinion about the trade? I'll start with Jamie.
Okay, first of all, I want to say I feel personally attacked by this question because I was very against the Blake Griffin trade for what we gave up for him. But yes, it has absolutely changed my opinion. I think he's, other than last night, has been doing really well, and he's really energized the team as a whole. So that's good to see.
Wait. So, Jamie, you're admitting that you're wrong?
I may have had a wrong impression, but I have lots of time to go where I couldn't be proven right yet.
Okay, you know what? All right. I'll take
that. 4 more years, He could play out this year, be awesome, and then never play a basketball game again.
I just had to. We got on record that Jamie admitted that she was wrong. So there we go. That's at 9:36 on the recording time of this. So there you go.
Official time.
Official time.
Give a date too.
Yeah, I'll give a time. You know what? It's February 10th, 2018. Eric, what would you think of the trade?
So I wasn't here last week to speak on it, but when I first saw the trade happen, I was very scared as far as the financial part of it goes. But as far as seeing the results in the first 6 games, oh yeah, it's definitely a big difference maker.
Brian?
I'm in the same boat as Jamie. I thought it was psycho at first because I saw who we got and then I saw who we gave up. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But then I read in between the lines. Tobias' contract is going to be up in 2 years. Bradley's is going to be up after this year, I believe.
Yep.
And then you're giving away 2 draft picks. But and this is the state of Detroit basketball. We can't draft anyway, so it doesn't matter. We got Blake Griffin.
Brian's dead on today, yeah.
Pretty much averaging a triple-double. I mean, let's face it. He's only going to help this team. He's a floor general. He can do pretty much everything. His jump shot has drastically improved. So I'm all for it.
I was all for it. I mean, it basically gave up nothing. You gave up 1 year of Tobias Harris. That's it. Avery's not worth the money, nor is he playing good here. A first and a second. A second is garbage anyways. The first is we're not good enough to be in the top 10, so the pick is irrelevant. We'll never get a superstar here. So I was ecstatic about it as soon as the trade happened, and this is the first time in probably 10 years that I've watched the whole game of a Pistons game, start to finish, 3 games in a row. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, your opinion has changed, and you know I've noticed it.
I still hate the Pistons. I mean, we're not gonna.
But he'll still watch them.
I'm gonna at least watch the game now. I'm actually going to a Pistons game. I haven't done that. I mean, I got some free tickets and I went, but I haven't bought some tickets to a game and never. So,
well, look,
the thing that he's watching this team now, and he'll understand his tattoo a lot better.
Oh, Jamie! Did you hear the sound effect underneath your voice too? Well played.
No, I did not.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say it. I know this is going to sound really funny. You guys are like all on board about this trade. I still don't think. I think it's way too early to tell because the 4 games that Blake Griffin played before they lost against the Clippers, all those teams were coming off a back-to-back. All those teams are not very good basketball teams. And the LA Clippers are still over 500 right now, and they outplayed the Pistons. I'm a little worried, and I think that maybe their success had something to do with the fact that Avery Bradley isn't playing offense for them anymore. If you guys didn't know this, he's on a 0 for 21 3-point shooting streak since he got to LA. If that gives you any indication of how bad offensively he kind of was here, he didn't fix anything when he moved. He has an offensive issue, and I think him being gone may have been part of what the Pistons needed, and that's maybe why you've seen Reggie Bullock and Stanley Johnson really stepping up. But Blake really just he crapped the bed last night. It was against his former team.
A lot of nerves.
And he told everybody it wasn't a game. He's just like, it's just a regular game. And then after the game, he admitted, I can't say that. And yeah, because it was in his head. And this was my biggest issue with Blake Griffin coming here. You can't doubt the talent or what he can do. He's a bit of a head case. And last night, that's exactly what we have to worry about going forward. Not only is he injury prone, you may see some of this weird mental stuff that he gets into his own head. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take anything away from Blake Griffin, but he's a big reason why we lost against Clippers last night.
No, and his play last night. But
what?
Well,
he has played better.
Here's the thing.
What about the
he has played.
What about the 12 bricks by everybody? Nobody passed the ball.
Exactly.
Okay, so how does that have to do with him?
He's a big part.
How?
He
was
took-
like 18,
he
7,
took
and 6.
he took a lot of bad shots, and he wasn't moving the ball just like everyone else.
But if you're
He had his
18,
worst
7,
game as
and
a
6, you're
guys.
not the
I'm not
problem.
saying he's been bad or anything. He's been great since
He
he
had an
got
off
here.
night.
But
He had an off
but
night.
when he has an off night like that, this is the problem. This was the problem I had with this team when Tobias Harris was here. When Tobias Harris had an off night, the Pistons had an off night. And I thought maybe Blake Griffin was less prone for that to happen. But last night scares me because it means that they can still all do that. That felt like a Pistons loss that happened before the trade. That was the kind of stuff that they do regularly before that trade.
That's on the. I feel like that's on the coach to tell these players that you're shooting like you're better than what you actually are.
I was gonna
And
say
that's on the coach. I know Blake Griffin like call a timeout, standing out, call a timeout. Hey, stop! They were just going down the court and shooting a three. You're not sweet, bro.
They weren't
but
moving
Blake
the ball
was doing
around.
that too.
Yeah,
that was the
Here's two things I will take away from this trade. One, I'm concerned about these right now. We'll get to the next part with O in a second, but you're playing these guys a lot of minutes right now.
Yeah, and
35 plus minutes a night, and that's going to take a toll towards the beginning of the playoffs. So that's one concern. The other thing I noticed about this trade is Stanley Johnson is night and day. I have no idea who that Stanley Johnson was, who I've seen in the last week or so, but being aggressive, stealing the ball, creating baskets, good passes. Like, who the hell is this Stanley Johnson? Is this the Stanley Johnson we've been waiting for years?
Yes.
Is the question. I don't know if that's for sure.
He had
thing
a few mistakes in the fourth quarter that made me mad last night, but
it's learning.
I got to take the bad with the good. You know what I mean? So I like how he's played lately. So I was like, you know what? He can have those as long as he continues to play aggressively like he has been.
And we can move on to O if you are. I just want to include Reggie Bullock has been awesome. He deserves all the credit in the world, and he's going to have the best NBA contract in the league next year. He's going to be owed $3.5 million. It's a team option. Reggie Bullock hasn't had a bad game since he joined the starting lineup.
He's one of the top 3 in 3-point shooting too.
I mean, I should include the caveat offensively.
Yeah.
You're right, Pro. In the fourth quarter, defensively, especially, Bullock just disappeared last night.
It was a whole squad. And
It was.
I'm looking
You're
forward
right.
to what they're going to do with their $8 million exemption money they got.
So
the buyout market's going to be interesting.
So we talked about the trade time a little earlier. The Pistons swapped Willie Reed for in a second rounders with Chicago to get Jameer Nelson. They also acquired James Ennis from Memphis for a second rounder and Bryce Johnson. Do these trade moves move the needle for you whatsoever? I'll start with Jamie. Please first.
I think that they are going to have a minor impact to improve the team. I don't know that anybody's going to be a magic pill for the team and make us like instant front runners, but I think that they will hopefully help us gel a little better.
Brian.
I like it. I mean, you're giving up. Look who you're giving up. It's Willie Reed, who's he's 7 feet, but he's been in and out of the D League. He really has no impact.
And he just the domestic violence.
Right.
Yeah, he's also a piece of shit.
Yeah,
Good
definitely
point,
does
guys.
not help.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely gave away nothing, so that's
Exactly, yeah.
that's definitely a plus.
No question. And you're getting Jameer Nelson, who has been to a finals with Stan, so you got that chemistry going now. Jameer Nelson is a seasoned guard, and I mean that in a good way.
I was going to say, you could take that either way because he is an old man.
Yeah,
but-
very old.
Yeah.
But no, I like it. I like the moves the Pistons are making, and things are looking good. I can't lie.
Hey, what about you, Eric?
I'm with Jamie. Minor impacts. Obviously, it'll be good, hopefully, for the depth as far as the bench goes. But as far as, how do we feel about the Pistons making all these tremendous trades? Nah, I'm okay.
Okay. I mean, Charlotte's imploding right now, which is interesting. I think these streets have helped out with that. Pro, what were you going to say?
It did absolutely nothing for me. Jameer Nelson is a bum. I mean, he got traded 2 times within 1 week to show you that nobody actually cares about him. You know what I mean? But we gave up Willie Reed, who wasn't going to get any minutes anyway, so it gave us depth for the next month.
Willie Reed wasn't going to get any minutes? We don't have a backup center. Willie Reed was going to get 12 to 17 minutes a game. What are you talking about? He's not going to play.
He wasn't going to put
Bryce Johnson wasn't
going
gonna
to put
play.
any impact on the squad whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And he's already got this case against him. He's not a good talent for the drama that's going to be on your team. We got Reggie Jackson expected back early March. So we got a guy for about a month, but it's not going to do anything for us. Neither of the other two trades. I mean, it gave us depth, but now those are 2 roster spots that we're going to have, I guess, for the remainder of the season. And, all right, then when Reggie Jackson comes back, we're going to have 4 or 5 point guards on the squad. Whatever.
No, we're not.
Reggie,
we got 3.
Reggie, Jameer,
and Ish. Langston Galloway's a shooting guard.
What about Ennis? Is he a point?
No, Ennis is a 3-and-D type of guy, and that's what I want to bring up. You guys are focusing on the wrong trade. The Jameer Nelson one's cool, just because he's a veteran guy, and like Anthony Tolliver, I just think that sometimes having that guy in the locker room matters more than what they're actually going to play. Because I agree with you. I don't think you should expect anything on the court from Jameer Nelson.
No.
I'm sorry. I love the guy, and it's really cool he's on the team, but
I didn't even know. I didn't know he was still play. I guess. What school did he go to? St. John's, was it?
Yeah, something like that.
So I guess St. John's beat 2 top 5 teams in the NCAA this week. So keep St. John's going, whatever.
But the James Ennis trade, he has started for this team at times, and while he's not really going to move the needle a bunch. One of the things that this team lacked, we had no small forwards on this entire roster. We had Stanley Johnson, who's a true small forward, and then everybody else is a guard or a power forward. And that, I think, was the biggest thing. It was getting rid of Bryce Johnson, who's a power forward, was going to have literally no minutes, going to spend whole season really. He's probably going to get cut, honestly. And James Ennis is probably going to get 10, 12 minutes a night, which may not seem like a lot, but like Raja, you were saying before, when you play all your guys that often, it's just really nice to have some depth. And he's a decent shooter. He plays defense, so it makes sense. It's a guy that Stan wants to get, but you're right. It's not going to make them a whole bunch better, but their bench looks a lot better than it did before the trade deadline. So I'll take that as a win.
Okay, so we go to R, and the Cavs had one hell of a day, and they made 3 trades. Isaiah Thomas, Channing Frye, who, by the way, had a really weird tweet about, like, if you go 0 for 6, you get traded. And their first round,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And their first rounder for Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr. His dad, by the way, Larry Nance, played for the Cavs in the early 90s.
And his jersey's retired.
Yeah, and jersey's retired. One of the greatest Cavs of all time. One of the best dunkers of all time, too. Then the George Hill and Rodney Hood, and sent Derrick Rose and Jay Crowder to Utah. Sorry, guys. And Joe Johnson and Ian Shumpert. I forgot Joe Johnson was even on that team. Ian Shumpert in 2020 second rounder to the Kings. And then Wade went to Miami for a heavily protected 2024 second round pick. Is this a roster lock for the finals again? And I'm not going to start with Brian because it's too easy. So I'm going to start with Eric in this case.
Is this a finals lock? No. Because you're still bringing in, it's developed talent, but it's still younger talent. I don't think that it's going to do any difference. Yeah, sure, they'll probably get a few more wins and more than likely get to the conference finals this time versus 2 weeks ago. But I think more than likely they're preparing for the long haul. I think LeBron's still out.
Well, the Cavs definitely.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Hold on, wait. I got to get my lather up sound. Hold on.
Yeah.
This question was specifically with Brian in mind. So
I totally appreciate it. Like, you're always thinking of me, bud.
I am.
All right.
I think of you a lot when I make these questions, Brian.
It's so awesome. But no, you know what? The Cavs are back to not a disaster. I'm not going to call them a finals lock, but they're not a disaster anymore because you got rid of the cancer that is Isaiah Thomas. I don't want to hear that he's scoring 35 a game in Boston. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals and got gentlemen swept, and he's supposed to be the leader of that team, which he was, and it's not saying a lot. I respect his game.
He's injured for that, though.
Yeah,
Brian.
he didn't even play one game.
Well,
yeah, he was out.
You know what?
You got to hate.
It's irrelevant because
I swear I thought he was on here a couple weeks ago trying to say Isaiah Thomas isn't all that bad. Let's figure it out.
That was me.
That was not Brian.
I completely. Those are great moves for the Cavs, but it wasn't Isaiah Thomas's fault. Jay Crowder looks like looks like he's like out of shape. You know what I mean? So Jay Crowder's out of shape, not playing well. That's just shout out to Brad Stevens for making a lot of players better than what they actually were, and a lot of them are coming back down.
And shout out to Danny Ainge recognizing the value of taking advantage of that players. I mean, Danny Ainge is a weird GM, but Got it done.
The moves were fabulous. I put the Cavs in the top three of teams who won out the deadline. Lakers number one, Cavs, and then
I guess,
and then the Pistons. You know what I mean?
I disagree
that
with
was
the Lakers.
that was beautiful. You know what I mean? Derrick Rose gone, Isaiah Thomas gone, Jay Crowder gone.
I think the one thing we learned from this is the fact that not all LeBron super teams are successful. You figure this is all LeBron, like, oh, let me get D-Wade back. Oh, let's sign Derrick Rose.
And
let's get Isaiah Thomas,
But I don't think... This is where I staunchly disagree with all you guys. LeBron James, believe it or not, did not get Derrick Rose there. He did not get all these guys here, except for maybe Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade for sure.
But that's it.
But
believe it or not,
he's the GM.
But they asked him like, "Hey, do you we might sign Derrick Rose? Do you care? Like, go ahead, sign him."
Yeah, but he's not recruiting these guys. It wasn't his idea to bring these guys in because if it was, LeBron's not stupid. He's not going to bring a bunch of 35-year-old dudes to win an NBA championship.
So you think they asked him if they're allowed? Do you mind if they come? Right?
I don't think they ask him about everybody. No,
but
it's only about.
I do. Now, if
starting lineup, maybe
he said no, I don't want them here. Do you think they would have signed him? No. So he has something to do with it. But
Jamie,
Rodney Hood is like a career 33-point three-point shooter. Anyway, he's not that good, but he's a good
a game. I'll take it.
He's a good wing. I mean,
come off the bench, too.
Jordan Clarkson is a younger version of Lou Williams, and that's exactly who he'll always be. So I mean, they got some nice talent for the future. The Cavs made out.
Jamie, what do you think?
I'm surprised none of you have mentioned the fact that basically they just rebuilt their team mid-season. It's going to take a while for everybody to gel together and play together. I think that's going to be a bigger problem than a lot of people are giving it credit for.
Yeah, there are people with from 4 different teams coming together.
Yeah.
You don't really have defined role. George Hill. Did you guys know George Hill makes $19 million a year?
Holy crap! I did not know that.
That's why he was expendable. He went to the Kings.
Devil's money.
Yeah,
I mean,
he went to the Kings because they were the only people willing to spend
Kings
that.
are the
much
ones that
on
gave
him.
him that kind of money.
Yeah,
but
he's a good player though.
Good,
he's good, but he's not worth $19 million.
Yeah.
He was worth $19 million last year. That's why he got the money. But Sacramento sucks, and I don't know why they paid him anyways. And they were trying to get
because they're like the Pistons. They don't really. They have to overpay people to make them come here.
Time to speed these up a little bit though. Some guys are 1 foot out the door. Especially, I just read right now that Marco Bellinelli just got bought out.
Yep.
Joe Johnson, Tony Allen, Isaiah Thomas is allegedly going to be bought out by the Lakers.
Wow.
Tyreek Davis, Derrick Rose,
Tyreek Evans.
Tyreek
Davis is like maybe a great player.
Yeah, I'm just exhausted. Should the Pistons go after any of these guys if they're bought out? I'll start with Jamie.
I don't think so. I just don't. I don't see any of them being a great addition to our team. I think we should just pass.
Joe Johnson, great first round playoff hero last year for Utah.
I'd take Joe Johnson.
Joe Johnson's.
Yeah, I mean, you can get him for basically nothing.
He's going to the Warriors, man.
And he's got he probably will. You know what I'm saying? But he's got a great clutch shot. Come on now.
Yeah, he joined Miami while LeBron. He got bought out and then joined Miami at the deadline a couple years ago.
Yep.
He did the same thing when Cleveland.
Remember,
he's just chasing the ring because he can.
Everybody who comes to Detroit and was good somehow ends up not being good, no matter what sport they play. When we get people who are fantastic, they come to Detroit and then just fall apart.
She's
Blake
right.
Griffin.
Sean Elliott comes to mind. Sean Elliott's one of the worst trades the Pistons ever made. When he got to Detroit, we all thought he was going to be something. Didn't like it here. Comes back to San Antonio and is a big part of their championship runs towards the later part of the 90s.
Well, look, there's literally you can't lose by signing any of these guys. If any of them seem like an upgrade, you do it, and it's because of the exceptions that they got at the trade deadline. They've got the player exception for I think $5.5 million for John Lure, and then they have the $3.5 mid-level trade exception that they got for Jameer Nelson, plus another $1.5 million. I want to say it's right around $9 to $10 million they have in extra scale. It's 8.87. Okay, so use that money to sign people. You have it, you use it, especially like a team like the Pistons that are strapped at the salary cap anyway.
Who wants to come here to chase a ring is not capable of getting a ring?
Well, I'm not saying that they could get anybody, but they should.
Yeah, they definitely should.
They should at least consider it. If anybody,
I can give you $8 million.
Okay.
8.87, man. Come
Okay,
on.
let's call it even. I'll give you 5. Save me a little bit. If anybody on that list, I'm probably going to go for Joe Johnson. Number one, obviously the veteran leadership, being in the playoff chase for numerous years. And again, like you guys were saying earlier, he is a pretty decent shooter. So I think that's something, knowing Stan Van Gundy, who loves to build his team around a big man and shooters, doesn't hurt to try.
I wouldn't mind Joe Johnson, who I'd really like to get is Mirotic because he's a pure three-point shooter.
What?
Well, but he's not getting bought out. He's in.
That's not
Was
even.
it Mirotic?
No, Mirotic was traded.
Mirotic got traded.
Who's the other guy that was on that list?
There was Marco Bellinelli.
Bellinelli, that's what.
Yeah,
he's-
Marco Bellinelli.
He's who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that at all, actually.
But
You'd have to cut Jameer Nelson if you did that.
I'd rather take Tyreek Evans. I mean, but he's not going to come here, and he's the younger out of the.
He's younger. He's a. I
could
don't know
play-
about a
Marco
better
Bellinelli would still be a great he would be a better backup than Ish would be when Reggie's back, for
Yeah,
sure.
So I wouldn't mind those guys, but stay the hell away, please, from Isaiah and Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose is an injury waiting to happen every single year.
Exactly.
IT would be
ruins
great.
on and off the court chemistry. I don't want him in Detroit. I don't want any of those.
He
guys
didn't ruin
in
anything
Detroit that I
in
just named.
Boston, though.
No, he didn't ruin
But that's
anything on any
different,
other
though, 'cause
team
he's
he's
the
been
main-
on.
Because
Right.
he didn't play good in the 15 games in the Cavs.
He was
jersey.
coming off an
So-
injury. He was coming off an injury.
Coming off an injury, and let's be real, the guy
A
has
mobility injury.
always. Listen,
Right.
the guy
That-
has.
that's my problem with him is he's
That's
always
ex-
injured.
it's
Excuses?
It's a hip.
Yeah.
It's a hip. It's not an excuse. You aren't. You shouldn't be
you
expected to
stay-
play it.
So you stay the hell away from.
Yeah, you
The
can't.
Cavs
You can't.
got salty with IT because the guy came out and said, "Yo, it's everybody for themselves." And honestly, the way the team was,
Before that.
but I'm saying though, even before that, the guy's not lying. The way how the Cavs were looking, if it wasn't a certain 2 to 3 players, yeah, you were pretty much out there playing for yourself.
I don't think he should be the.
It's not.
Okay,
It was not all his.
let's move on.
Take
Let's
over and don't let Isaiah.
let's
lead
move
the
on,
huddle.
guys.
Come on.
Who cares? He's gonna be bought
The
out.
point
and
is
he's
he
salty.
might not even be bought out, and if he's is, he's not coming.
He's not
here.
gonna be the same player he was 2 years ago.
And he's not coming here.
So who made out in the best? In the last question for E, who made out the best in the trade deadline in terms of making the team better or setting them up for the future? And I'm not going to you, Pro, because it's way too easy. First,
I mean,
So,
he
Eric-
already answered
Yeah,
it.
he already
so.
answered. Yeah, he answered the question earlier. Okay, Eric, who do you think made out like a bandit?
I gotta go with them. It's the Lakers. Lakers had the best.
I disagree with you guys. All right.
So I get cut off.
No, hold on. No, because we had only got a couple minutes left. Brian.
I mean, just under the circumstances in Cleveland, I gotta go
The Cavs.
I mean, just look at who all they got, and who they got rid of. I mean, it was like Pro said, it was beautiful, and I love to hear those words uttered out of his mouth.
But
talk
but
about
it was
Cleveland.
beautiful for them, and it also set up
Next summer.
next summer for him to leave the Cavs and go to the Lakers. So it did good for them now, but it kind of messed them up for the future. Like, you just opened the door to take your girlfriend and say, you opened the door for me to take your girlfriend. That's what you just did.
But
That's
it's
exactly
not-
what you just
and
did.
I know we all think LeBron's
You're a
gone
gentleman.
after this year, but he hasn't really insinuated. And if you think he has, it's because of him talking under his breath to Lonzo and all that other garbage. I can't wait. I would love to see him stay in Cleveland to just prove the whole sports nation, the whole sports world wrong.
So you're gonna stay with the Cavs when he leaves, or you going where he goes?
I'm going where he. Hey, I'm a bandwagoner. I'll admit it. I'm a LeBron bandwagoner.
But-
I'm the fan of the team where he goes.
I mean, the Lakers cleared up roughly $47 million. Now, if they attach that trade, that first round pick to get rid of Luau Deng, they're going to have nearly $70 million to sign players this summer. So
It gives
the
them the
Lakers,
ability, but
the Lakers made out in this deal because
Patrick, before we go to Jamie,
it's not
we'll end the
just
segment.
Paul George and LeBron. There's Boogie. You mean so?
they could have gotten more. And there's no way they couldn't have. That first round pick is going to be terrible. I think the Lakers literally saw this deal and they're like, "Oh, that's awesome, let's do it." But I don't think they
Because
felt
you
it
got
out
GM
enough.
experience and you know that you were in the office.
Yeah, I
and-
worked in the Pistons front office for 6 years. You didn't know that?
and you were in the office with Magic Johnson.
If you take off,
it is impossible for you to tell me more that Larry Nance Jr. and Jordan Clarkson were not assets that other teams coveted. You do not have to be a GM to know that those are covetable assets that other teams would have wanted and had the ability to obtain. You can't tell me that. And there are at least 25 teams that are going to have a worse first-round pick than Cleveland. And Cleveland also had a Brooklyn pick that the Lakers seem like they didn't even go for.
Okay, so who won? In your opinion, who won?
I'm glad you were in the office with them making these trades.
Cleveland did. Cleveland absolutely won.
Yeah.
They gave up. They got to keep their Brooklyn pick, and they got to reshape their roster. So now they only have themselves to blame if they don't make the finals.
I guarantee you the Brooklyn pick finishes 8 or higher.
No, it won't. They're still the 4th worst team in the league right now.
Jamie, what do you think? Who made out?
I'm gonna have to go with the Pistons just because nobody said it. But they really gave up nothing for what they got on the trade deadline.
It's true.
No, she's got a good. Yeah, she's got a good point. And
So when it comes to actual winning, like that's what they got.
Winning.
They gave away nothing, and they got some additions that probably will help them out some.
I'm gonna get Probe some purple and gold tint glasses. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna get Brian.
He's already wearing them. That's the way he sees the world.
That's what I say. But I'll get Brian the same thing. I'll get some. Was it Dookie Brown and Cleveland's brown and gold?
Maroon and
whatever.
Gold.
Yeah, maroon.
Gold,
brownish maroon.
And I'm gonna get Jamie a beard, a fake beard, which we'll get to. The Lions introducing Matt Patricia. We'll play that a little bit, and also what happened at the Super Bowl coming up after the break. You're listening to the SRD Roadshow on CRBRadio.com and SportsRadioDetroit.com on demand. We'll be back.
With Matt, it was clear that he fit those qualities. You know, I feel very confident that Matt's the right head coach for the Detroit Lions. Before I introduce Matt, I want to take a minute to recognize his wife Raina, his sons Dominic and Dante, and his daughter Gia. Matt's parents Ed and Lucy, welcome, and Raina's parents Ray and Elaine, welcome. It's my sincere pleasure to welcome and introduce the head coach of the Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia.
And Jamie somewhere fainted. You're listening to the SRD Roadshow on CRBRadio.com and SportsRadioDetroit.com. That was okay. I expected to laugh, and no one laughed.
I expected Jamie to
I laughed.
at least.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, no, because Jamie's
I didn't hear you.
Jamie had a status, I'm so in love already. And we're like,
I was looking at pictures of his wife. Not to be weird, but
no, that's not weird at all. No,
That's totally weird.
I
his
mean,
wife is done. You know,
nobody actually cared what his wife looked like at any point in time. At least, I didn't even know she was at the press conference. You know, I didn't listen to that part. But
Of course you did.
I had to all right.
Yeah. So Matt Patricia has been introduced as the Lions head coach on Wednesday. Worst kept secret, and him, Bobby Q, is Dan from Out of Bounds. Like to say you can find on the website sportsradiodetroit.com. The Out of Bounds podcast, of course. Quick plug. But they introduced Matt Patricia, and everybody's doing what everybody does in the Detroit. Look, here's the thing. I don't think I've explained myself as. And by the way, Jamie is now the new host for the Lions SRD podcast. So,
Yay!
Yeah, so she takes over from Ben. But look, when it comes to the Lions, I'm somewhat cynical because I've recognized this organization has broken my heart many times. I watched them in 1991, and Jamie and I are around the same age. So, yeah, 91 NFC Championship getting blown out by the Redskins. There's numerous. I mean, what was it? I think it was I forgot who said it, but I think it was Robert Porcher or somebody said guaranteed the Lions will win in Philly. Got blown out by former Lion quarterback Rodney Peete in 94, 95. Barry Sanders going for negative yards in Green Bay. There's numerous instances. I mean, of course, the 0 for 16 season. Who can forget that? Me having the only Lions jersey I ever had, which was a Joey Harrington jersey.
Oh my gosh!
I'm so sorry
that's
for
the
you.
problem. Your jersey is a Harrington jersey.
Yeah, well,
I'm so sorry for you.
I thought Joey Harrington was going to be the next big thing, and I was, but anyways.
Stop thinking.
There you go, thinking again.
Yeah, the logic behind that. But everybody's excited about Matt Patricia, the beard, the shirts, all the paraphernalia that you've seen online. And now he inherits a pretty good roster. A lot of Giants fans were butthurt because he didn't go to New York. How dare he goes to Detroit. But Matt Patricia getting hired, the thing about this is it's glossy, it's shiny, and all excited. But
it's new.
Yeah, there's two things there's two caveats that I want to point out. The one is the Twitter fan who, quote, look how much points he gave against Philadelphia, blah, 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 that guy. Or the caveat that the other one is, number two, well, he's been playing under Bill Belichick as a defensive coordinator. His bend don't break, but his defense hasn't been that dominant, so how good of a coach is he?
I mean, top 5 in the past 5 years, so it's kind of good.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little. It's just a little bit. But there's a lot of things about this hire that I'm looking at, and I'm looking at with caution optimism. You look at the other side of the thing is, all right, so his coordinators, Bill Belichick's coordinators are under 500, like 118 and 135 or something like that. They've been, but then you look at Eric Mancini. Okay, he went to the Jets. Okay, that was his own fault. Romeo Crennel, bad quarterback situations. So is this the best quarterback situation any of these coordinators have ever inherited under the Bill Belichick tree?
Yes. Yes.
Why is that? Okay? Well, why is that, Jamie? Explain.
Okay, first of all, you have, and I know some of you guys are going to give me flack for this. Matthew Stafford is an elite quarterback. He has stats that put him up there with the best quarterbacks in the history of the league. And yes, some of that is padded because he has no run game, so of course he's going to have more passing yards than somebody who can actually hand the ball off to a running back and get some yards. But you have an elite quarterback and a team that is poised to make a run. And yes, we have a history of having horrible, no good luck every time we think we're going to do well. But that was when we had Mr. Ford running the show. That was when we had Matt Millen, who I cannot stand and can't believe anybody even gave him a job to talk about football because he obviously knows zero about it. You have Bob Quinn, who has done amazing things, both draft-wise and just every move he's made has pretty much added to the team. You have Martha Ford, who has decided that she is going to take this team to a championship come hell or high water. I think that he is poised for success in a way that those other coaches were not.
Okay, I'll start with Brian.
The Lions have this thing about going after coordinators, and I've said this a few weeks ago, and it hasn't worked, but we're getting Matt, like Roger said, it's glossy, it looks good, because you're getting Matt Patricia, who's from the Patriots. He's obviously had success with them. But it's like, if I'm the Lions, don't you want to kind of venture out and maybe go after, and I know you guys are going to say head coaching experience doesn't matter, which I think it does, because there's a reason why there's coordinators and head coaches. But I would have liked them to go after a coach with head coaching experience, because you look at the history. Rob Marinelli, great coordinator, was a disaster in Detroit. Jim Schwartz, great coordinator, couldn't get it done. Jim Caldwell, great coordinator, still couldn't get it done in Detroit. And then you go after another coordinator, but this is probably one of the best coordinators you could get. But with that being said, the Pats D isn't all that good. They're okay.
Top 5 last 5 years, right?
I was about to repeat the same thing.
Yeah.
But they're secondary.
But what do you mean they're not that good if they're top 5 the past 5 years? Okay.
With no defensive stars. Top 5 in the top 5 past
They've
years.
had defensive
No
stars.
No.
That is so overblown. They got a Kib Talib there who was the best cornerback in the league while he was there. They get stars. That's overblown as hell. He has a lot more talent on his defense than anybody ever says. I think that's one of the most overblown things we're going to hear about Matt Patricia for years to come. They always have a couple stars on that defense. But the point is, I don't like what you're saying about coordinators, because just because the Lions hired coordinators and they failed, they succeed in other places. I think you're looking at the wrong common denominator there. You're looking at guys that they weren't sure about because they were questionable dudes. Jim Schwartz wasn't a crazy good coordinator. I don't think
he went to a Super Bowl.
I don't think he went to a Super Bowl before he joined the Lions.
He went to a Super Bowl as a coordinator or he won a Super Bowl with the Ravens as a coordinator.
Jim Schwartz did?
No, not Jim. I thought you said Caldwell.
No,
I was confused.
Me too. I was like, Jim Schwartz.
I'm sorry.
I just think you're looking at the wrong denominator here. There's a certain. They have other similarities and differences between just being coordinators. And
True.
What happens if you hire? So what do you want? You want them to hire somebody with no experience?
I want them to hire
if you
coach who's been a head coach before.
Okay,
that's all I want.
But you can do that, and
help, honestly.
But a lot of the times, if these guys were head coaches before, they had to have gotten fired for a reason. Isn't that right?
I'll give you that. But it's coordinator after coordinator who continues to fail. Like, you're going to keep riding this coordinator train?
Jim Caldwell had head coaching experience
Sure did.
And he got fired, and it was because he didn't have a quarterback, and it seemed pretty transparent that as soon as he lost Peyton Manning, he was nobody, but the Lions still hired him. I mean, he fits your criteria, and he didn't work out either. I think you're looking at the wrong common denominator.
And I was going to piggyback off of that as well, because just as many people, head coaches who have head coaching experience, have failed the same amount of times as people with defensive coordinator experience have failed. It's the exact same. Now,
Doesn't happen all
I
the
know
time.
people talk about the coaching tree with Bill Belichick and all that jazz, but the difference between Eric Mangini and Romeo Crennel, they were only with the Patriots for a few years.
That's
Matt
true.
Patricia has been with the Patriots for 14 years, being better at every position that he's ever been in and maximizing. He's been the defensive coordinator for the Patriots for 5 seasons. And for 5 seasons, the Patriots have been top 5 all 5 seasons.
I would have never guessed.
Let me jump in on this.
I would have never guessed.
Let me jump into this, the opposite side of the coin.
No.
Of course not. You have an issue with the coordinator thing, right? How you feel this should be, regular head coaches.
Just go after somebody different.
Okay. Opposite side of that coin is, even though it hasn't been quote-unquote successful, each coordinator that they have brought in has progressed in some type of level.
True.
So is it necessarily saying that getting a coordinator is still a bad thing, or could you just be waiting on the right coordinator? That's first thing. Second thing, for the Patriots not having a star argument. Let's say that is the case. They don't have a star. Doesn't that kind of benefit Patricia more for the fact that he's building a solid defense with no big names? So,
well, that's what I'm saying. I think that he's getting too much credit for that, but I can pull up a list.
In what way?
He always, because just because you're able to do something with nothing doesn't mean that that's how you should build the defense here, especially since we have defensive stars here. So it's not going to look anything like
that's my point, is that
That's all
he
I'm
has
saying.
more to go on than he had.
Right, and that's kind of the thing I'm going with too, is the fact that even, let's say there was nobody out there, now that the defense is at least somewhat established here, he was a defensive coordinator. This should almost kind of feel, to a certain degree, almost like butter.
Well, of all people, Matt Patricia, I'm not mad about the hire. It's just it kind of makes me cringe, because if he does fail, because, let's be honest, Detroit, and I know it's all fans too, but Detroit fans are impatient as hell, and I just feel like when this thing doesn't this thing doesn't work, the Lions fans are like, we shouldn't have got Matt Patricia yet, and I'm just going to be like, hey guys, we got yet another coordinator who cannot get it done.
Detroit has a lot of bandwagoner fans. It sounds great at the moment, and then when it goes to shit, it is what it is.
I think it's more that Detroit has a lot of so-called fans. They wanted Patricia fired before they even actually hired him because he didn't win
funny.
Super Bowl.
Guys, I don't know how you guys can say this about Detroit not having fans. You guys realize that a historically bad franchise sells out a lot of its games, and people go to the games every year.
I'm not saying every fan. I'm not saying, because I'm a diehard Lions fan through and through. But there are a lot of fans that like the schadenfreude of being a Detroit Lions fan, so that they can complain about every
pick and choose arguments.
thing.
But the Lions, by the way, set an attendance record last year.
Yeah, and that's my point. Is I'm sorry, maybe I'm getting angry at Twitter. This happens sometimes.
I do
it's
too.
a common theme on Twitter that people are saying, like, the bandwagon fan. I'm like, wait, you guys, and this is a team that sells out regularly, even when they were 0-16. Like, it's just. Detroit fans are nuts.
Yeah.
They love football no matter
what.
what.
You can't be a bandwagon fan unless your team is successful. Nobody jumps on a bandwagon of a losing
And
team.
you know what's interesting? And what's going to happen here is with the Tigers right now, and I'm experiencing this firsthand, there's so many people who are already bouncing off the fact like this. Well, if you're going to be a Tigers fan, you might as well root for them now, because I'm going to see how many people jump off the bandwagon. It's like, who the hell? First of all, that's just stupid. Who the hell cares if you're going to chant like? There's one Twitter follower in particular, and I think Jamie follows the same person. This person constantly will post, well, you guys are not going to be fans when the Titan, and then he'll be the first person, give away his, but this person is the first, when they make a trade, how did they not get a top 10 prospect for Ian Kinsler? That's how it works, pal. And now you're going to call out fans, and you're going to call out people for not going to games. This team's going to be bad for a while. The Lions have broken the system in this town, because no matter what no one goes to Pistons games. No one's going to Wings games right now. When the Wings were bad, they called them the dead Wings. When the Lions were bad throughout the last 50-odd years, 60 years, people still go. It's amazing how the Lions have broken. And that's why when Pete Rozelle
filled in that 0-16, or the stands were filled in that 0-16 season with people wearing bags on their head, but they were still there.
Yeah,
and that's why ticket prices got raised, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they had to go back to the average. They had to go back to the average.
People complain about that. Would you rather a slight increase every single year or a big increase every 3 years? Make up your mind, because you can't have it both ways.
No, you're right. Good point.
Where ticket prices stay the same forever. The prices will always go up. It's better to do it little by little every year instead of a huge price every 3 years.
And
so people are that's stupid for people.
It's like school
And
tuition.
don't forget that when we were going through the recession and Detroit was doing so poorly financially, that all those teams tanked their ticket prices to make it easier to get fans in the door.
Yeah, the Lions have done. I will say this: Ron Wood has done a very good job of incentivizing Lions fans. They brought cheerleaders in. There's a drinking. I know people like cheerleaders.
Zone.
Yeah,
but it was a great hire, and that's who Bob Quinn wanted from the start. He got his guy. He got a contract extension to match exactly the coach's contract. So if they both suck, they're both out at the same time, which is basically lines up with Matthew Stafford's contract as well. So I'm happy about the hire. And he just hired the Bo Davis, ex-Alabama D-line coach, to coach the D-line here. So roll Tide.
I can't stand it.
I was gonna say there's a way he'll find a way to sneak it in there. He will. So, but let's hear. Let's hear from some Eagle fans.
EAGLES Eagles!
What the hell is that? Was he making a call? They were stealing the greased up poles.
This is after the Eagles won.
Is that it? Where are we going? Where are we going?
My man's in tears.
There was a guy on the roof of a truck driving down the road. He wasn't even paying attention.
He did it, man. You fucking did.
He did it. What do you mean he did it? He didn't do anything. He's just a fan watching the game. How does he get? He did it. Get the fuck out of here.
I thought it was hilarious. Kevin Hart trying to get on stage with the trophy.
Yeah.
I pointed out. I was like, I wonder if anybody else is gonna see that. It ended up being a huge
Subscribe
thing
to
on
my
TV.
YouTube channel.
He was crazy. You saw
We
him
lost!
his chest too.
No!
Why these look staged? It's daylight where this guy was. Come on. That's fake.
Chill, dude.
Hey, you know
Dude, what?
It's not always dark when it's dark here, right? Not everywhere.
I understand how Eastern and Western time zones work, you jackass.
It's light there. That's a lie. It's a lie.
But
There's
look,
no way this is
but
true.
in the
It's light
video,
outside.
there's no football game on. He just goes, "We lost," throws down the remote, and then runs out. Come on.
That one's
Yeah, Eric knows it.
It's on the internet. It's true.
Here we go.
that awkward silence.
15! No, he caught the ball, though.
Let's go! I call that shit back. Let's go.
Free
Let's
Meat Mill.
out.
Yes, sir. Free
Dick.
meat.
Yes! Yes!
All right, enough of the. All right, so fans reacting. By the way, I'm more interested in the fan reaction videos than I am, and sometimes just because some of them I'm trying to figure out whether they're staged or not. So you want to see you want to hear the one Patriots fan being salty?
Sure.
Here we go.
Letting a 3 DBs back in the 20. Brady fires, and it's almost picked off. That took 4 seconds. That's Darby.
Here we go.
Oh, there's a jump ball. And Brock was there.
I thought it was hilarious that Jason Kelsey's rant. He was buzzed.
Yeah. All right, this guy's really into his feels now. Like, he ain't saying nothing. He's just mad.
And he was going off about all the people who doubted,
Fuck
each
yes.
player and stuff like that. He sounded exactly like Randy Savage. Like, I was just waiting for him to say, We're gonna do a Slim Jim. It would have been amazing.
Slim Jim.
But he sounded
I'm
exactly
just saying
like that.
if the Lions ever win the Super Bowl, I will seriously.
There
tell
will
all
be
of
a
these
small
fans to
town
think.
riot.
You won't even know.
Jamie, are you gonna run the streets of Bay City naked?
Well, no, because I don't live in the city. But I may
I'm-
very well run up and down the
I was
streets
just-
of my little neighborhood naked.
I was okay. Look, I was just doing a random city so to throw people off because I didn't want people to know exactly where you live. So you should have ran with that, but you know what?
See,
cool.
I used to
No,
be
they
down
couldn't
for
find
that
my house
idea.
if they tried.
Used to be down for that idea, but now if you get caught, now you got to register and stuff like that. It's just way too much
Seriously?
trouble.
Plus, it's too cold around the time Super Bowl happens.
I don't know.
Trust me when I say that, one, nobody will see me because I live in the middle of nowhere. Two, nobody will find me because I live in the middle of nowhere.
Careful now.
Here we go. Here's Jason.
Google Maps.
A
There's
few
lady
years
naked
ago,
running down the street.
was relinquished to all control pretty much in this organization.
Bro, what
he
is
was
my
put
man wearing?
in the side.
Is it the green leprechaun thing?
He was put in the side of the building where I didn't see him for over a year. 2 years ago, when they made a decision, he came out of there a different man. He came out of there with a purpose and a drive.
He looks like a genie. Like
Didn't
that
happen
man should have
anymore.
came out of the
Before
lab.
he got hurt, he was the best freaking tackle in the NFL.
He was like, "Why are you talking about me, man?"
Stephen Wisniewski ain't good enough. Jason Kelsey's too small. Lane Johnson can't lay off the juice. Brandon Brooks has anxiety.
Can't lay off the juice.
Carson Wentz didn't go to a Division I school. Nick Foles don't got it.
Steppers on a Slim Jim. It looks like Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z. Would you say, Jamie?
A little bit.
I said, absolutely sounds like he's ready to snap into a Slim Jim.
Did he have a couple lines of Coke before he went on stage?
They probably gave him like at least 4 Red Bulls, and he was right there as the stage
But,
was about
Like
going.
somebody should have literally just popped up with a Slim Jim as he was talking.
And then just like, or you
That
know,
would have been excellent marketing.
Yeah.
Slim Jim ad.
yeah.
That would have been great if he said it at the end of all that whole big rant. And
Never do a Slim Jim.
He was drunk a little bit because
a little
bit,
a little,
because he was singing the Eagles song with the fan on the street and
probably all slurred. Fly Eagle fly.
Fly Eagles fly. But the interesting thing was in terms of stacks up the games. Where's it stand up to you as one of the best games of? I was one of the best games I've ever seen. I mean, everybody was complaining, too much offense. So
what?
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's no such thing.
Pro, what do you think? What'd you think?
I don't think it was one of the best I've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Well, not
it was
compared to last year.
it was a good game. Like last year, that did it for
Last
me.
year is crazy.
That Pittsburgh Arizona game was the real deal. When the Ravens won here in Detroit, that was one of my favorite games. But it was just a no defense optional game. It didn't really do much for me. I wasn't like happy or sad. I didn't lose any money. Actually, I won $1 on the coin flip, and I bet $20, which I really didn't care about anyways. So it did nothing for me.
I like defense, so I don't know. I understand the whole too much offense thing, but I always thought that the popular opinion was that offense is better. Is it just whatever the Super Bowl is, people would have preferred it the other way?
Yeah.
Because I feel like in years past, people say that there's too much defense and they need more points in the Super Bowl. Now you get that, and people are complaining. I haven't seen that. That drives me insane.
Doug Marrone should feel even shittier for his play calling in the AFC Championship because there's no way the yards in a game record would have been broken if the Jacksonville Jaguars were playing in the Super Bowl. There's no way.
That's true.
There's no way. So he should feel even crappier because he's got the best defense, and yes, that is Nick Foles. So none of that would have happened. It would have been a completely different game if Jacksonville was in it. And
Oh, yeah. People would have got what they wanted. As far as what this Super Bowl leads up to or what it ranks as, very entertaining. I was definitely entertained while watching it. But as far as one of the all-time greatest Super Bowls, no.
And no Malcolm Butler for the
I-
Patriots changes.
Well, that was so stupid. How is it his own fault? Like
I was going to say, how is that his fault?
I started 98.6% of the snaps in the regular season, and you wait to this game, and then you're getting torched. That's a pride thing from the coach. You know what I mean? So what? At the beginning of the game, they told him, hey, you're not starting. All right, you knew this shit 2 days ago because you were telling other coordinators that he wasn't starting. But you're going to wait till the morning of the game to tell me I'm not starting?
I heard it was moments before the game.
Yeah, and then be mad at my response? Are you stupid? Like, would you? Oh, okay. Just high five the coach. I'm not starting. Of course he's going to be upset. And then you're getting torched, and you don't put him in. And Patrick Chung almost went out with a concussion, and you could have moved some things around. Of course he came back, but your coach had a pride thing and didn't play him at all, and that was stupid. So it was more on the coaching staff that lost that game than anything else.
Yo,
I agree with that.
Yo, leave it to the Patriots to find a way to take the thunder away from the Philadelphia Eagles. They won the Super Bowl, their first one ever. They had by far, what was it now, the most current drought of winning a championship. And then the day after, it's all this Malcolm Butler and Josh McDaniels stuff. Leave it to the Patriots to take away somebody else's thunder just to stay relevant for a little longer.
Oh, of course. They're the Patriots. What else do you expect?
Yeah, I was upset at that Jacksonville wasn't there, and just a play calling. You know what I mean? Brandon Cooks he's like 4'3", trying to hurdle a 6'1" guy, and that was completely stupid. Shouldn't even have went for it right then. Just a kicker missing, Mr. Clutch kicker, giving away 4 points. You know what I mean? So it was bad coaching, bad kicker. It was.
Gostkowski's one of the best kickers of all time, though, man.
And he gave up 4 points.
I know.
But I'm going to say, I think it was one of the best Super Bowls. Like last year's was crazy, but it was really boring for the whole first half when the Patriots did nothing. This game was at least consistently interesting to watch through the whole game. But you did not know who was going to win until the last seconds. It was a good competitive game, which you don't get in the Super Bowl a lot.
And Brandon Cooks lost his soul in the first quarter.
Oh, my.
That was a train wreck, sir.
I watched the Super Bowl with a bunch of people that don't really watch sports, and even they panicked when that dude got hit. Everybody was just like, "Oh!"
As soon as he got
hit, his head was like.
As soon as he got hit, I yelled "night night." Like, not to
night,
be
night.
rude. It's not to be rude or anything. As soon as he got like "night night," because
it was a done deal. Like
he's asleep for a couple of seconds. He woke
seeing
up
it live.
Did I score?
Daddy, did I do good?
Seeing it live when it happened, you're like, man, that's a heavy hit. But then when you saw it in slow motion with that whole Phantom can, man.
Yeah.
See, he could have yelled to do, hey, I'm right behind you. You know what I'm saying? You could have gave him a head. You didn't have to take his soul. You know what I mean? And that was a big thing because you could no longer stretch the field. So it was too many variables. It was meant to be for the Eagles to win that because there was too many things that don't go wrong that went wrong.
Yeah, it was an interesting game in the sense that also Tom Brady threw for 500 yards and lost.
Yeah,
I mean that's just it's astounding.
And he's like probably the least athletic person I've ever seen on the field.
Man, running the field.
But I had an argument with somebody like, oh, he sucked. But no, here's the thing: only quarterbacks who are mobile or who throw a lot of interceptions should be good at running. He doesn't throw interceptions. He's had below 9 interceptions almost every season, besides 1 every single year. So he doesn't need to run.
Okay, but would you say that Aaron Rodgers is a mobile quarterback?
Yeah.
I don't think of him as a mobile quarterback. It's just he gets out and runs when he has to. That's the difference.
It says mobile quarterback on his headline.
But my point is he's not rushing for yard. Like he's not a leading rusher.
Aaron Rodgers can't give you 25 yards easily numerous times a game.
But you're arguing and you don't even know what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is the great quarterbacks, they're just good. And Aaron Rodgers can move, but he doesn't pick up most of his yards on the ground. He's not a running quarterback like Cam Newton.
But that's not what I mean by mobile quarterback. Like a dude who can get out the pocket. And Tom Brady's sitting in there. Only time Tom Brady rushes is when it's 4th and inches and he does a Tom Brady dive. He doesn't. There's no quarterback sneaks in the playbook. The O-line wouldn't even know what to do if it said shotgun quarterback sneak.
He's like, I'm sorry, what? That's exactly what happened.
Everybody look at the sideline like, is that the right call?
I think he's got a concussion. Hey, somebody come and I think he's got a concussion.
Get in here.
Somebody explain what the hell a quarterback sneak is.
So
I'm kidding. No, that's what they would be saying to themselves.
Yeah, so that's just he's just and he had more time. He threw the ball too early. You know,
I felt like Tom Brady was so slow that if I were to race him, I might actually stand a small chance.
Bro, that shit, it was ridiculous. Like, dude,
it looks bad.
Eric, you can dream, man. It's cool.
Even when it was like 3rd and 10, and when he did run, when he ran, I was like, oh, that's the first down. That's the first down. It went from he has a first down to he got 3 yards quick. I was like, how the hell? Like, you had easy first down, and it went from 10 to 3.
All right, we're gonna do Dueling Mics after the break, and yeah, we'll continue. We'll do a little football talk at the end of the show. You're listening to SRD Roadshow on CRBRadio.com, SportsRadioDetroit.com. On demand. We'll be back. All right, we're back here on the SRD Roadshow on CRBRadio.com and SportsRadioDetroit.com.
Stupid.
On demand. So yeah, there is. We haven't done Dueling Mics because I was trying to find a Western theme. I picked the wrong one, but still, this is a good one. Because it's from the Magnificent Seven, classic Western movie.
I like this.
Charles Bronson, Steve McQueen.
Man in Black, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Look at Jamie just continuing to surprise me. Yul Brenner. What'd you say?
I am a vault of pop culture knowledge.
Yes. Maybe I've met my match pop culture-wise. Here I am thinking I know everything, and Jamie's like, oh, screw you, Roger. I know more than you do.
What did I say earlier?
And that's fine.
There you go thinking again.
There you go, yeah. The more
You're proving my point here, Roger.
I am. I'm absolutely proving your point.
No, they did remake it, Magnificent Seven.
Yeah,
recently. The one on Netflix?
Yeah, Chris Pratt's in it, I believe.
No,
Samuel Jackson
Denzel Washington.
Yes, Denzel.
Oh.
Ethan Hawke, Chris Pratt, Denzel Washington. Great movie.
You're the one with Samuel Jackson. You're thinking of The Hateful Eight. That movie was great.
Yeah. That was.
Thank you, Eric.
That movie was great.
I will watch any movie that has Denzel Washington.
Samuel Jackson's monologue in The Hateful Eight.
Best movie
is phenomenal.
Okay.
Devil in a Blue Dress.
Devil in the Blue Dress. That's a good movie. Dude, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
The guy trying to chop down a tree the entire movie. That was hilarious, though. I'm just going to chop this down. I don't need my tree chopped down. I'm just going to take off a little off the side.
All right. So it's time for Dueling Mics. I'm going to give you guys a pop culture subject. Stories, news, headlines across the board.
I don't like that.
So I'm going to go with Jamie versus Mike Papchak in the first round of Dueling Mics.
Round 1. Fight!
Recently, there was an article that was posted in The Atlantic.
Round 1. Round.
That was deep.
That was deep. That was deep. There was an article recently posted in The Atlantic about that the United States spends more tax dollars per high school athlete than per high school math student. And it's unlike most countries worldwide. So I'm going to present the case to Jamie first. Should this be a trend that should be reversed?
Absolutely. The future of our country does not rest in athletes. Are we going to turn over? Oh, of course we could, considering the current state of Washington. But we're not going to turn over our country to LeBron James and Dwayne Wade and let them take us to the future. No, we need students. We need scientists. We need people that have actual knowledge of how things work. We need to reverse that trend immediately.
Okay, that's it. Mike?
Why not both? And I mean that completely seriously. We live in a town that our football coach is a former rocket scientist. I mean, I think the key is not to separate. You need to stop looking at the two as if they're separate. We're in a great time where being a nerd is no longer socially unacceptable, and maybe that means that knowing things is kind of heading that way too. So why don't you just make the football players realize that football isn't their whole life? I think that's the better path to choose, is let people play football, let guys play football, but make sure they know that math is important too. I don't know.
So you're saying if we just raise the grades that you have to play, then it would be okay?
No, not raising the grades. I'm not giving you a specific way to do it, but you just need to let football players know that, or athletes know that there's things more important than sports, especially since sports can't be your whole life.
Okay.
All right,
so Probe, who do you think won this?
Pap went neutral in the argument. So I'm gonna have to go with.
Hey, go neutral. I gave you a solution.
It's either for it or against it.
I told her.
And
Okay,
you
so
can't
no.
You can't. We should do both.
No, we should not reverse that trend. We should not reverse
All right,
that
so-
trend, and it's because we don't have to.
No, it's too late. I'm going.
Oh, that's what I said. I already said it. It's not my fault Mike didn't
All
get
right.
it.
Eric.
I stepped away for a minute, so I'm gonna go with what I heard, Mike.
Boo. All right, Brian.
So I gotta go Jamie here because you gotta start putting the priorities before sports. And I know you guys said it before that it happens too much where high school players just transfer to other high schools for sports, and I think that's ridiculous because you look at the talent level across the high school athletes in general. I mean, not everybody's going to go play college sports, so you got to look at it that way. So it's
Very
time
few are actually.
It's time to strike down and
You're the tiebreaker.
Actually,
Is it 2-2?
Have some priorities.
All right, for this case, I'm going to have to say.
Actually, no, you're not the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think JB won, right? No,
It's 2-1. There's only 3 right
Yeah,
now.
there's 3. So,
But,
yeah.
now that you're already talking about it, you might as well just go
See,
for
this
it.
is why we need to put more emphasis on math.
Hey, it's early.
All right,
It's early.
On that comment alone, Jamie wins. Just
Whoa!
like,
Oh, so she gets to add to her argument after, right?
no, she doesn't. If I'm looking
I
at,
had already won because we had just proven that.
she did win. So, but I was just gonna say,
just want your opinion.
You
my
haven't-
opinion really is this: I agree with Mike in the sense that there is the ability to do both, and there is an emphasis on what's going now, that knowledge is power, because you look at what's going on across politics, whether you believe or not, ignorance is being accepted because the minority right now who is in power are dumb. So,
Would you just call me?
If the shoe fits, wear it.
all right. So next up is I'm going to put Probe against Eric, and here we go. Oh, damn it! That would help if I did that.
That doesn't help me.
No, here we go.
Round 1. Fight!
Okay.
right.
And from clickbait theater extraordinaire Carlos Morenez from the Detroit Free Press. Can the Detroit Lions Bob Quinn fire Matt Patricia if he struggles? Probe.
You said what?
Can the Lions Bob Quinn fire Matt Patricia if he struggles?
This is the dumbest question I think I've been asked so far.
This is what I'm gonna say. You guys got to dig deep on this one. Probe, go ahead.
I mean, he's a GM, so of course if he sucks, he can fire him. You know what I mean? But it also, he's a GM. I mean, why not? If he can't fire him, then he's not the GM.
I was gonna say that's a clickbait theater at its finest.
How do you expect me to go up against this?
I just got that evil smile on his face.
I'll go against myself.
I can go against this, but
If I fire the coach, then it was my choice, and I get fired too. So he can't really fire the coach because he's going down with him, because that's your fault. If the team sucked and you want to fire the coach, you picked him, so you should be fired too.
Sure.
That's that's a.
And this is by what.
But isn't it getting out in front if the coach isn't successful? You fire the coach because he did not meet your expectations, and this team is more talented
No,
than
'cause
that.
we passed up on some good coaches because you wanted this guy, so you get fired now too.
That was for the writer, not you guys. All right, Eric.
And I have to go against this. Okay. I'm going to say no. Bob Quinn can't fire him. It'll be Bill Belichick. Don't ask me. I'm just doing something random here, in all honesty. No, I don't know, man. I don't even know how to.
That's a really dumb headline, isn't it?
It's stupid. Like, how do you not have the right to fire the guy that you're hiring for a coach?
You give them all the easy ones.
Right.
Hip Hop Anonymous?
I literally feel like this is like
hip hop.
Whoever wrote this, I felt like
Carlos, man.
Well, Carlos
dude,
needs
he has the word moron in his last name.
Carlos needs to reevaluate himself on when he writes things, because I feel like he just had a conversation with himself. Can a GM really fire somebody?
Look it up.
Let's
I'm
make
gonna
that.
look- I'm gonna
Let's
look it up.
make
Can
that
you
a
do this?
question.
So one, his name has the word moron in it, and two, he was obviously high when he wrote it.
All right, so although this was kind of a weak argument, who won this argument, Jamie?
There's
I got to go with pro.
There's no way.
I have to go with pro, and I had to go up against them.
Pap check.
I'm not really sure. I missed the argument. Like,
Right, there was-
The argument was
I heard a statement of fact from Pro and then a confirmation from Eric. That's all I really heard.
Yeah. So really, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna have to. I'll have to another question because I was trying to.
That was bad.
I was trying. No. What it was, I was trying to see what you guys could dig up out of a stupid statement like that.
Oh, I could. Yeah, I don't
could
blame you
dig
for
up
that.
that the
I could
guy-
have done it. I just,
Yeah.
I can dig up that the guy needs to reevaluate his life right now.
Okay.
That's not, like,
Well, I'm gonna. All right. Well, hopefully I'll redeem myself on this one. So.
like what do you mean? Can the GM fire a coach if he struggles? Of course he can.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane. So everybody's making a big deal. So here we go. Let me play the. So I'm gonna put Brian against Jamie because Brian hasn't gone up yet, and I'm not participating this week. So.
That's bogus.
No, I'm just kidding.
Here, let me face you, so that way I can have a fair chance to actually have a. Valid
All right, fine.
argument.
We'll do that. I'll do that towards the end. Okay, so Brian versus Jamie, and the question is this, and this is the winner. Okay, winter Olympics. Do you care or not, Jamie?
I do, because I'm a crazy competitive person, and I like to see the U.S. win the medals. And plus, curling is awesome because you really feel when you watch curling that you could get up off your couch and be an Olympic athlete tomorrow. It's sweeping and standing on ice. It's awesome.
Brian.
I'm not interested whatsoever. The Olympics, you should just. What I care about is just the Olympics themselves, and I know that's kind of a general statement, but we all know what kind of Olympics I'm talking about. The Olympics that happen every 4 years. I'm somehow trying to keep well, not really trying, but somehow keeping in touch with what's going on in the Winter Olympics. Because I'm turning on Sports Center at 2 in the morning and it pops up, but I have no interest. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I've never really been interested in the Winter Olympics. I mean, are there any really big-time sports there? And to go on
The Louvre.
Off what Jamie said, anybody. She was saying anybody could be an Olympian in this aspect. So I mean, that kind of goes to my point is
y'all have seriously, clearly never tried curling. Curling's hard.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
I know it's hard. I do know it's hard, but
Yeah.
it looks like it's not.
It's true.
It's
Just
like
a little
yoga.
bit of practice.
Yoga looks like you should be able to do it with no problem, but then you actually start doing yoga and you realize how incredibly out of shape you are.
Listen, I'm too fat for yoga to begin with, so
I could probably use those brooms there or whatever the heck they call them that better
I'm
than
going
I
to
can
send a
ice
video.
skate.
You are not too fat for yoga. Nobody is. I will send a video to prove it.
well.
To be the first judge, I'm gonna go with America on my decision, and I'm going with Jamie.
Okay.
Because this is America, and regardless if you like anything in the Olympics, you know what I mean. I love seeing the medal count in U.S. always at the top with the most medal, and you clearly haven't seen any hot chicks playing doing curling. So
But
you
I have not.
so you should Google Olympic hot chicks curling and look it up, and then there's
Olympic
Hot
chicks
Olympic curlers.
curling.
Watching skiing is awesome, and
Lindsey Vaughn.
Tell you what.
I'm going
Pap
to America.
check. Who do you got? One for Jamie.
I agree with Brian. You couldn't pay me to watch the Olympics. They're so boring. Like, because what happens when they win? I guess maybe you need to have some sense of like pride about it. I don't know. I'm all Brian.
Okay.
Currently, winter sports are boring anyway.
Eric, you're the deciding vote here.
Damn, so much pressure. I'm going with Brian.
Oh, Brian with the upset, 2-1. I was
Look, let's be real. It's the Olympics. It's not like in the wintertime, too. It's not like we're watching something, and no disrespect to anybody who's out there doing it, but it's not like we're watching something that is like a mainstream sport.
Yeah. But skiing is hard. Going down skiing
Doesn't
is
mean
hard.
it's entertaining.
Yeah, watching somebody wipe. Wait a minute. Wait a
Wait
minute.
a minute. There is hockey going on in the
Yeah, I thought I cared about hockey.
I don't.
I
I've
thought I
never been
cared
a
about
hockey
hockey, and then I keep reading in hockey articles since the All-Star break, and I'm like, the hockey All-Star break happened? I didn't even know they played the All-Star game, so apparently I don't care about hockey.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
I just found that out
here's the
recently.
thing. When somebody wipes out in skiing, it's hilarious. I mean, I'm not.
When somebody wipes out in general, it's hilarious.
When somebody crashes in NASCAR, it's entertaining. It doesn't mean I watch NASCAR.
Yeah, but literally, the reason why, like, okay, they have an event where they literally ski and shoot a gun at a target, and then they can't have to get the target, and they have to keep on going.
Hey guys, what are you doing over there? What are you looking at?
Looking at some
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
We're looking at the
they're doing
NBA
so research apparently. So,
stats.
so by the way, so Brian is the winner. on that. So congratulations, Brian.
Boo.
Thank you
Winner.
guys so
Rigged.
much.
Totally rigged.
Yeah, no, they're okay. So
Until next time.
That
baby.
one might be.
yeah, that one. Yeah, I expected. I don't know. I thought Jamie was going to win based off the America factor. So, at this weight. So Josh McDaniel. All right, well, actually, let me just hold on. All right, so I'm going to pick my next. I'm going to go with Papchak versus Probe.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
It's actually dueling mics.
Yeah, this is literally dueling mics.
I will set this right here during the argument. Wait.
Yeah. So there we go. Yeah.
Well, maybe this makes me sound awful, but like, we live in an age where the internet gives you access to seeing beautiful women anytime you want. I find it harder and harder to watch a movie or a TV show for that reason now.
Yeah.
For that reason.
What do you mean?
The internet ruins it.
So you're saying TV doesn't have beautiful women?
No, I'm saying that shouldn't be a reason why you're watching. It doesn't change anything.
Oh, like
okay.
stories are being very big.
Yeah, I was so confused.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
I never cared about the weather before.
The weather ladies from Mexico are.
So all right. So Josh McDaniel recently was hired by the Colts, was going to get set to be hired by the Colts. Then Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft sat down with him, gave him a bunch of money, and a promise that he would be able to take over the Patriots job when Belichick steps down.
We don't know that for sure.
Well, allegedly. This is all, quote unquote, air quotes, allegedly. So, that being said, did Josh McDaniel make the right move? Mike Papchak.
Make the right move?
Go to stay with New England.
Absolutely. You don't know what you got in Andrew Luck anymore because he hasn't played in almost 2 years. So you're not sure about the quarterback situation. The team just went 2-14. So you're looking at, if you're not successful in the first 2 years, you're on the hot seat. And then the job that he just left might not be open again. I think he went for security more than anything. So, yeah, I think he absolutely made the right move.
Probe?
I think it's pretty stupid because if you look at the Patriots roster in probably 2 years, every person who got you to where you are right now is not going to be on that team. So why do you think your roster with the Patriots is going to be better than the roster with the Colts? Yes, you're going to have a QB. Maybe he sucks for another year, but then he's good after that. You know what I mean? You do have a top 5 pick. You do have an owner who doesn't really care about money, and you have stud wide receivers. So I feel like his roster 2 years from now will be better with the Colts than he would with the Patriots. So it's a stupid move, and he's probably not going to get another job because his agent fired him because he knows that's a dick move.
All right, that's both compelling arguments. I'll start with Brian.
I'm with Papchak. Stay where you're gonna win. Because if you go to the Colts, yeah, you might get draft picks, but you got Andrew Luck, yes, but he's injured a lot, and he's like the main. He's the core of that team. Without Andrew Luck, that team sucks, and it goes down to defense. And yes, they have good wide receivers, but they're just a disaster.
So
without
what
Andrew Luck.
when Tom Brady leaves after next year?
He already picked me, Mike. He already picked me, Mike.
Okay.
Tom Brady,
all right.
where did that come from?
All right, okay, Eric.
I'm going with Probe. I do agree it was definitely a dick move, and if you already commit to saying, yeah, I'm going to be there, you should stick to your word, ride it out.
Like the hundreds of college athletes that do that every single signing period.
They're not paid, though.
Here we go.
Allegedly.
Yeah, they are.
Allegedly, right.
I mean, we just found out they definitely are paid, especially in basketball.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, how about that mom that walked out? That was pretty bad.
That was
It happens every year,
No,
though.
but
that happens every year.
That was so stupid because they didn't show 10 seconds later she came back in and hugged him, and it was like a huge troll. Oh, that's the worst mom ever, blah, blah, blah. And then they cut out the part that 10 seconds later.
Yeah.
They had
I didn't even see that part.
They had a huge
So,
hug.
Jamie, who do you got here?
I gotta go with Pro. You
Wow.
ruined your name. You ruined your reputation to take over for Belichick.
She just said
and you'll always
two
be remembered
factually
as
wrong statements
not
right
quite
there.
Belichick.
What was it factually wrong that she said?
You're just hating.
What do you mean? I totally forgot what she said already. I was so furious about it. I was like, what?
You just like to argue with me that much.
No, I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but it's never you personally. It's in general. I like people because you can talk against them, But in what way did he ruin his reputation?
He totally went back on his word because
His reputation means literally squat because he's going to be the head of the most successful organization in a decade.
Sorry, I'm sorry. My own personal reputation is more important to me than
Your own personal reputation is equal to your. I'm just saying, Josh McDaniels has a terrible record as a head coach, and
you are your word. You are your word.
But here's the thing, though.
You are your word. You cannot stand behind the words that you.
Then, so what about all these hundreds of college athletes that literally change their mind every single year? Do you take them? Oh, can't trust this guy. He didn't go back on his word. No, it's that he got a better offer, and if any of us were in that same position, we would have done it. He's probably making the same amount of money.
But here's the thing, though. He's betting on himself. If he's good with the Patriots, he's not going to need another head coaching job. This isn't a step-ladder job. I can't.
Exactly.
I'm going to take this job till I can get to the Raiders. You know what I mean? So if he's
But
good, if he's good at this game,
he'll
his
never
reputation
be as good as Belichick in anybody's eyes. He will always be the.
Well, I know. That was the argument I had for it in the chat this week. He'll never live up to those expectations, but you can get another head coaching job. It doesn't have to be the Colts. The Colts is not a good situation. Andrew Luck may never play down a football again.
And he shouldn't have said he was going to take it in the first place.
Well,
Why
this
did he
is-
say he was going to take it?
Because this is the problem with recruiting a coach while you're still coaching. That's always the
here's
problem.
the problem with
If
money
Patricia
talks.
did the same thing, Lions fans would be like, I get it, it's the Lions.
We got to start keeping
No, I wouldn't. I would, and I love Matt Patricia, and I would still have his head on a pike. Personally, I would seek him out and do it myself, probably.
I don't think a lot of Lions fans have been like, yeah, that's just because it's the Lions.
By the way,
it's all perspective.
I don't know who's going to keeping stats of wins, but today it was Probe. You went 2-0. Papchak went 1-1.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you went 0-2. Okay. Oh, sorry. 0-2.
Pro's never going to vote for me though, so that's an obstacle I have to overcome.
No. He's voted for you before.
I voted for you.
No, this is the first time I've done it, and he voted against me both times. So.
No, he didn't. No, he
He's
voted for you the
keeping
first
track,
time, first
guys.
week.
I don't know.
I didn't do it the first week.
He did.
We had a fake one where it was a disaster because Roger didn't.
Oh yeah,
wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, that's right. That's
so
right.
we didn't really do it.
I take responsibility for Brian's 1-0 and Erica's 0-1.
The champ
for
is here.
today or in general?
No. Overall, you're like 2-1.
Bullshit. I'm like 1-1 or 1-1.
1-1. Okay. So all right, Eric. Okay. So you know what?
I'm 50%,
That's your job.
jerk.
That is your job now to keep stats for the rest of the spring until you're this is the rest of your time here.
It's okay.
Internship. You are responsible for the stats. Brian, you're what 2-1.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So, are we counting that first?
Yep.
Dueling Mics?
Not the disaster one. The one from.
So it was the
after
week
that.
before last, right?
Yeah.
2-1.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll go back and listen, and now I'll.
All right. Because Probe is the official historian / statistician of the group.
Find that out and then just let me know.
And then Jamie, you're what? Well, Jamie, I know you you're competitive as all hell. So would you?
I am, and I'm not happy because I think I'm 1-2.
Oh, Ben is 1-1, I think, or 1-0, or I don't know. I can't remember what Ben is. Ben is at his nephew's birthday party.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to his nephew. So, all right. So we learned a lot today. We learned that snow is absolutely terrible, and that's a given. We learned that Eagles fans will eat anything to satisfy their hunger for victory and drink.
Two Eagles, 1 cup.
Yep. Oh, God! What the dude?
He had to go.
Well, wait. You know what? When
That's the name of the podcast right there, guys. We figured that one out. That was simple.
2 Eagles, 1 cup.
There you go. That was easy.
Well played, Mike. Write that in the chat so I don't forget. But, oh my God! Good Lord, that's a visual now that's in my head. God damn it! No, when I first saw that,
Welcome to hell.
Yeah, the first time I ever saw that that video.
There's a 2 Eagles, 1 Cup video?
No. There's
No.
the original inspiration behind it. Somebody was like, "Hey, check this out," and I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, and I dry heaved in the garbage can next.
Wait a minute. My question is, how long did you watch the video for?
No, as soon as I like the second it happened, I'm like, "Bleh."
My brother showed me that, and I was very, very young when it happened. I was very confused.
Jamie, what about Jamie? Did you ever see that?
Yes, I've seen it.
Believe it or not, I have not.
Good.
I made it. I
No,
made it
do
without
not.
having to see it.
Yeah.
Somebody send us a video.
No, please
No.
don't.
Don't do it.
No, just listen to me. I don't care who sends it to you. Don't ever watch it.
Pro's
Never,
gonna send
ever,
him
ever.
the video. Well, I already know that's gonna.
It's part of his
completely changed the name. It's like
Probe's got it on his phone in his heart, in like his little memory
It's a
card.
screensaver.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's gonna be the Probe. He's gonna change the name to
Man saves girl on fire or something.
Yeah.
Oh, watch this video. It's great. Saves her life. It's
Yeah.
The opening wing is just going to be at the.
You know, he's been Rick rolled. By the way, he's coming to town.
Yeah,
He's
Rick
coming
Astley's coming to town.
St.
Real?
Andrews, April 21st.
I'm going.
I'm gonna go to that.
I'm going.
Yeah.
the day
He never
after.
tours. He never tours.
I didn't know he did still. I made him.
No. He has a
only-
fear of flying. That's why he never tours.
I've only karaoke one time.
And it
And
was
it's
the
one
Rick
song,
Astley.
and it was a Rick Astley.
We should make that an SRD road trip.
I love that
Roadshow on a road trip.
St. Andrews, man.
Yeah. What a place to see him. Never gonna let you down. All right,
Well,
James.
I don't know if I want to pay to get Rickrolled, guys.
No,
That's
no.
essentially
Yeah,
what's
I
happening.
agree.
I know people who work there. I could get this.
I'm just saying that's the one song he'll play. All right, see you guys.
Yeah,
you knew what you were paying
No,
for.
he remixes it 5 times. Yeah. All right, this is never
Play
gonna.
other ones, but nobody will know what they are.
Yeah, he has another song.
Everybody's
He has one other song.
Yeah. All right, we're out of here. Jamie, thank you so much for listening or joining us today from the area of the Woman of the North, if you will. I'm just calling her the Woman of the North.
She was listening too.
Yeah, she was listening. Find our shows on SRD.sportsradiodetroit.com. Give us a 5-star review. We'll be Facebook Live hopefully next week for a full-time basis from here on out. So, see ya.
Oh.
LeBron James.